was going to be on the vlog this week. In case you didn't get that, this week I speak with Lindsay Ireland, MS warrior, blogger, and soon-to-be author. Now let's get to the video. Thank you so much for joining me, Lindsay. I'm so happy to have you all the way from the Bahamas. Yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in Nassau.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you for having me. It's
yes, no problem. Yeah, it's great to see you and catch up, and that's for sure. So I wanted to have you on here because I know you've been dealing with MS for a long time. Everyone has a little bit different journey with MS, similar but different. I just want to start out, if you could just tell me your MS diagnosis, your MS journey.
Okay. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very open about my MS. So I was diagnosed in October 2001, and I'll never forget the year because it was right after 9/11. So it felt already, and then I got my confirmed diagnosis. I had a feeling I had MS. I was sort of textbook, a woman of a European descent in her early 30s. I had a numb and weak hand, tingling. My right leg was dragging. My doctors had prescribed me physiotherapy because they thought maybe I had a pinched nerve, but it didn't feel like a pinched nerve to me. I was too tired all the time, and I had done a bit of research, and I thought maybe I had MS. So I had the MRI, and I did have MS. Some people have a really long, drawn-out diagnosis period. I did not. So I got that diagnosis. And I guess anyone who's watching who has MS, it's really scary when you first get diagnosed. So I was really scared. I was scared I would end up in a wheelchair. Everyone I saw in a wheelchair from that point on, probably for the next 6 months or so, I thought, oh my goodness, they have MS. I did, right? It's just your whole sort of way, your perspective on how you see those things changes. I don't think the shock period lasted as long for me as it might for some people. I had dealt with severe illness as a kid with some other bowel problem. I think I was quite well equipped at dealing with very serious illness.
Right.
So that maybe makes my experience a little different from other people. I didn't really go through a why me stage. Right. I definitely went through a bit of shock that I was getting something else so soon.
Yeah.
And definitely the fear thing was strong, but I really dove in at the beginning to ask my doctor a lot of questions and also do a lot of research myself online through the MS Society website. I know you're connected with them, as am I. I think they're a great organization. So I utilize their website a lot for researching things just about the different meds that my doctor had talked about. And at that point, there was really only 4. So this is 2001. There was the 4, 3 of them were interferons and 1 was Copaxone. And so they were all injections. I chose Rebif just because it had slightly better stats with relapses. It was the most expensive one, but it didn't matter because I had coverage through my work. So, and I was on Rebif. For about 9 years. So from 2001 to about 2010. And then I had to stop. I was doing really well on it. I only had 1 sort of minor relapse with my eye that I took prednisone for, and it didn't last too long. It wasn't particularly scary. I just really figured out I didn't like prednisone. Right?
Understandable.
I didn't do well with prednisone.
Yeah.
Well, emotionally, I found prednisone really affected me. I'd taken prednisone a lot as a kid when I was in hospital, but I didn't really remember what it did except it made my face puffy. But the emotional side of the prednisone, I found it made me think I want to take that as little as possible. It made me very black, and I'm generally an upbeat kind of person. So But I had started having injection site reactions after the 9 years. So I changed meds. I don't know about like your doctor, but my doctor doesn't love changing you on a med if you're doing well, right? They're like, if it ain't
great,
don't fix it, kind
That's
of
right.
thing. So, but right. So, but with the injection site reaction, really quite nasty infection. So I did Gilenya for about a year and did really, really well on Gilenya MS wise. But my heart started doing all these funny racing things.
Oh, not good.
And it scared me. So I called the hotline, like the Gilenya 1-800 number, and asked them about it. And they said, you should probably get off that, but go talk to your doctor first. So I did get off it. And it was too bad because it was MS wise, I felt really, really strong.
Right.
Very little fatigue. And at that point, I had my son, so I was working part-time. I worked full-time up until I became a mom. And then I worked part-time because I just found it was a lot to handle everything, fatigue-wise and just energy-wise. So that's what I did. So I got on techfidera in about 2011. And I've been on it ever since. And again, 2 pills a day, easy, no side effects. And in between there, since I've been on techfidera, I've only really had one really nasty relapse. And it again scared the heck out of me.
Yes.
So that one was one, right? It's like ripping the rug out from under you. You're not sure what's next. I was on vacation and then I woke up in the middle of the night with searing pain right at the base of my neck and my spine. And then I had trouble swallowing and I lost good power in my legs. My right hand went completely gone. So my husband was cutting my food for me and washing my hair and doing all that business. And I went home, got on the IV prednisone, and quite quickly got back to, I want to say in a couple of weeks, got back to being able to do things completely for myself. And I was still always able to walk. It was just hard, right? And then I just slowly built back up my strength, little bits of yoga. And, I had a gym routine that I did that I had completely modified once I got MS.
Yes.
Because I found I couldn't do the Stairmaster anymore or anything. So I would walk, I would swim in the summer, all gentle stuff. Yoga was a big thing for me. I find stretching really helped a lot, and then easy sort of muscle building. And keeping myself fit was really important to me when I was diagnosed. Just holding on to what I had and making the best of whatever I had. And taking back, like, you feel so out of control. It was taking back a little bit of control, right?
Exactly.
So I tried to do that through, I that was really important for my mental health. I did that through exercise and I went gluten-free, which I found all the numbness went out of my feet and I had more energy. So I'm still gluten-free 20 years later. That helps me. It might not help everyone, but it helps me.
Right.
And at the beginning, so 20 years ago, my neurologists were like, all about, just taking the drugs, which I've always done. I've taken the meds, but I was always saying, just for your other patients to know, this really helps me. Like the gluten-free, the yoga. And now 20 years later, they'll say to me, we have no scientific evidence, but I have a lot of anecdotal evidence from other patients that it helps them too. And I think part of it is the actual, the gluten part, but I think too, some of it's just taking some control back and doing a few things that aren't just, and living the healthiest life you can. I don't know, is that part has helped me. I think. I know it has.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad that you found things, other like things in addition to medication to help you. And I also find it quite, is it amazing or unbelievable that it takes until like the last couple of years where they're like, oh, eat a healthy diet, exercise is good.
Yeah.
Because I've also tried to do that through my like 16-year journey with MS, even though the doctors weren't telling me to, but it was just the way I live my life. So I don't honestly know if that's helped me or not personally. But I find it strange. Like I was just like waiting almost. I'm like, when are they going to do a study and publish it about eating this, eating that, doing this exercise? And it's kind of coming now, kind of. I'm like, why wasn't this done 10 plus years ago? But anyway, I'm not a researcher or a doctor, so
they're getting there.
Yeah.
I feel like it's better and I understand. So when people go to med school, they're studying that. They're not studying alternative.
Right.
Right. We've got a whole other field for that. So I have like two I've had in my life, two excellent naturopaths who, I mean, I've had a couple that I didn't like so much over the past, but I have two that I trust implicitly and who I know do a lot of research on autoimmune. And it's not fairy tale stuff. There's supplements. All my neurologists have said take a lot of vitamin D.
Yes.
So I do that every day. And I recently had a blood test that showed, even though I take all that vitamin D, I am just at normal levels because my 3 autoimmune diseases eat up a lot of my vitamin D.
Yes, they would.
So it's not like, there is scientific stuff behind this, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I believe there's things we can do outside of just what your neurologist or your doctor will tell you. And that's not a diss on them. They're doing their job, right? But we have to take responsibility for the other stuff and why everyone should eat a good diet. Quite honestly, like it'll make everyone a little healthier. But I think when you're fighting something, it's even more important.
Yeah, exactly. I always find it amusing.
You know, when you're dealing with MS or something else, then you figure out what's going to be best for you.
Right.
For long term. For me, it's about the long-term prognosis. You've got your day-to-day stuff, but then you're also looking ahead because you know it's a degenerative disease.
Right.
So you want to reduce degeneration as much as you possibly can. That's
100%.
Whatever mixture of things you can do.
Right.
And I think the mental side's really important too. Taking care of your mental health also.
Yes, definitely. How would you say that your medical care that you receive now from where you live versus living in Canada, how is that? Or do you still deal with your doctors in Canada? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. I've kept, because I spend a lot of time in Canada in the summer and go back and forth, not during COVID, but I will. I haven't been back since I got here, but so I have kept them because I have long-term relationships with my Canadian doctor. So I was only in Halifax for 2 years, unfortunately. I didn't stay there very long because my husband got the job here. But so that relationship never came to much because of COVID. But my one in Canada I've had for years, in Toronto I've had for years and years. So I appreciate that he knows my history. He knows me. He knows that I don't ask for something unless I really feel I need it. You know what I mean? Like he knows my personality as well as my disease. So, and that to me is really important. There becomes a trust thing between you and your doctor, right?
Yes.
I think both sides. So I really like my neurologist here because I thought it was important to have one here in case anything came up.
That's right.
While I'm
That's a good
living here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you need someone in case of emergency. And I really, really like him. There's not a ton of MS here. So he doesn't have a whole lot of patients with MS, but he's very, very interested in learning, not just through me, but so he knows a lot about MS, but not because he's got this, 2,000 patients like or more, my doctor in Toronto, right? So, and it's public healthcare here, not private. And we have, again, benefits. So I can, like, if I need to see him, I can see him tomorrow.
Wow.
And if
Wow.
you know what I mean? So that part, wow is right. If I
Yeah.
need an MRI, I can get it literally tomorrow. Like, so that part is really nice.
Yes.
I miss my relationship. I'm building one here, and
Right.
I really do like the doctor here. And he, he'll say to me, so I see him every 4 months via Zoom, and he'll say to me, like, so how are you doing? And I said to him, I think I do really well. I'm 20 years in, but I said, compared to like a year and a half ago, I don't feel as strong. So it's really hard for me to answer that question. Like, I'm walking my dog, I'm swimming, but I have been feeling like really tired for 10 months and not as good as I felt, a year and a half ago. I said, so I don't know how to answer that question, right? Like, because I want to be positive,
Right.
and it's all relative. And he said, well, let's send you for an occupational therapist visit, so we can actually measure it and then measure it again in a year. I've had MS for 20 years and I've never done that. So that was my first time. So now I'll actually have measurable hand strength.
Nice.
Not just, touch your nose and all the things we do every appointment, right? And walk on your line and all that. But like an actual squeeze your strength and that kind of thing. So I thought that, I didn't come up with that. He did. And I'm like, that's brilliant. So then when you ask me how I'm doing, we can measure it, right? And not just be me being a little disappointed that I'm not as strong as I was a year and a half ago. And I have to say, since we've had that appointment, I'm feeling stronger.
That's good.
I was going through like a little mild relapse. I had my front that was lit up, right? So I haven't had an MRI since Christmas. We did it then. But I have a feeling that that's quieted down.
That's good.
I feel, yeah.
Fingers
so
crossed.
I'm getting good care here.
Yeah.
Well, this is it, right? That's all you do. So
yeah.
I feel like I'm getting good care here, but I would never want to give up my sort of long-term relationships, because I think they're too important. With my other specialists too.
Right.
They're too important. They've known me for too long.
Exactly. Well, that's great, because I really had no idea about how medical care works where you are, and like even about you having availability to a neurologist. So I'm really great to hear that. And that they're very like, he says like, is very on top of things, like suggesting occupational therapy and like, let's get an MRI done tomorrow. I'm like, that is completely foreign, as I'm sure it was to you before you got there. You're like, tomorrow? You mean not 6 months time?
Tomorrow. Honestly, I'd phone to book it. And I'm like, I'd like to book an MRI. Like, could we book it, in the next, I knew that I could get it fairly quickly. I'm like, in the next 3 weeks. And they're like, we've got availability tomorrow at 11. I'm like, oh, okay.
So strange, but good. Definitely a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. It's a really nice thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice not to have to wait for results, because we do a lot of that. But I think we have good healthcare. I'm very grateful for healthcare in Canada. But yeah.
That's good. I'm glad. What would you tell someone who was just diagnosed? Someone's brand new diagnosed.
So someone who was just diagnosed, I would say it gets better mentally. It's super scary at the beginning. And if you're in the shock stage, maybe you don't even feel scared right now. There has been so much development and research in the 20 years I've had MS. And I know I'm sitting down right now, but 20 years in, I can still go horseback riding. I'm taking my dog for 2 walks a day. I'm doing my swimming. Yes, I have to sometimes manage my energy, but that's what I call it, energy management. But I live a very full life. I would really suggest looking into things that can help make you feel better. And if you are having a hard time with it and don't want to feel like you're a burden to your family and talking about it too much, first of all, you're not a burden. I just want you to feel secure and supported. But I got outside therapy, and I had been doing it before I was diagnosed with MS. It helped me immensely to have someone to talk to who wasn't family or friend, because you can just dump what you're feeling out there. I think there's a lot of hope. I think there's a lot of hope for new treatments. I think you have to choose what's right for you.
Yes.
For how, what treatments you do or don't do, and what you supplement them with yourself, whether it's diet, exercise. I would strongly recommend that. And, the thing I'm learning as I get older too, which was always really hard for me, was asking for help when you need it. And that can be a really hard thing to do, because it made me, I shouldn't say this isn't everybody, but it always made me feel like I was either a burden or I wasn't independent. But you can still be independent and ask people for help when you need it. And I think it's a really important skill to develop. And people actually really appreciate being able to help you when they can. And maybe you don't need it right now. Maybe you have a diagnosis and you're feeling fine. Great. And long may it continue. It might, for sure. There's a mess, right? But I would say, take good care of yourself and be kind to yourself, and give yourself whatever time you need to absorb your diagnosis. And reach out for any help you need, whether it's emotionally or physically or otherwise.
Those are all great tips. Definitely. And I understand from talking to you within the last couple of months, you have written a book, or is it in the process? Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, COVID, that was COVID's gift to me. COVID has been miserable, but it locked us all in our houses. And so I finished a manuscript I started way back right when I was getting diagnosed with MS, and I was going through fertility treatments and all the rest. And so, without going into it too much, I'm in my second round of edits. So I hope to have it all published before the end of the year.
Okay.
And when you're going through big health stuff, it's very easy. And this is when I was a kid too, when I was 11. It's really easy just to feel like a patient and not a person. So it's a book about resilience, the power of perspective to help keep you resilient, and empathy, the importance of empathy and gratitude, all build into that resilience. And it's about a lot of things, but my journey with invisible illnesses and not feeling invisible, making sure I don't feel invisible, although you're going through things that other people can't necessarily see. That
sounds great, and I'm excited for it. Make sure you keep me updated on when it's published. Do you want to share what it's called, or do you want to leave that till it's published?
Well, no, right now it's called Why Not Me? The Power of Perspective.
Okay.
So, and that came from, a lot of people in my life have said, so you must think like, why me? You have this, you have that, you have this. And I said, no, I don't think why me? I think, why not me? I'm lucky enough to have a great family to support me. I, have all sorts of resources at my disposal. So I don't think why me? I think, why not me? Why not anybody? The things don't necessarily happen. It's not because you're a bad person or because why me? Why not me? Right?
I love that perspective that you have. That's really good, because a lot of people dealing with just MS alone, but when you have other underlying things, they're like, why? What did I do? So that's a great perspective that you have. Definitely. Is there anything else that you like to add at all that we haven't covered here that you just want to say?
I really appreciate you having me on, and thank you for spreading your knowledge about MS and making people aware. And I think awareness is a really important thing, because I think MS can be very misunderstood, as well as people who are going through it, right? And it's important that we all speak out. And again, I think that goes back to sort of asking for help and being honest with what you're going through. So thank you for letting our voices be heard.
Right. Great. Thanks so much.